Hello, and welcome to another BTFO. Today we're going to be talking about obsession. And I really like this movie. I would highly recommend it. It's not for the faint of heart, but, otherwise, please go see it. I'm going to get into spoilers. Because I don't know that there's really much else I can say about this movie without spoilers, other than just it is really good. It's really impressive. Go see it. Go, especially while there's like a crowded theater. It's a really good theater experience. I recommend it. Here we're gonna jump into spoilers. So I really like this film. This is directed by Curry Barker from That's a Bad Idea here on YouTube. I've been looking forward to this because I like his YouTube content. So it was kind of neat to see, he's got a movie coming out, and it's being distributed by Blumhouse and other studios. But as far as I can tell, it looks like he made it and then did it. I'm not sure. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe some of the funding came from studios, but looks like he spent less than $1 million on it. Like, you really wouldn't know from looking at it, which is one thing where it's like, it's impressive, but it's also kind of the thing where it's like you look at that compared to your standard Blumhouse affair, where like you take like Night Swim, and it's like, oh, they easily spent 10 million on that, and it's like, why? Where did the money go? Like, so yeah, this film, it's because I feel like a good way to describe how it succeeds is it's very similar to the best of The Twilight Zone, the original show by Rod Serling, and I got it right that time. Because I will say I've been going back watching a lot of Twilight Zone. Some of it's not that great, but when it's really good, it takes a fairly simple premise and just kind of like really thoroughly explores that premise, and will throw in twists on twists and stuff, and it's really neat. And that's basically what this film is. It's not a super complex premise, it's just this guy, he's got this girl that he likes, and he finds this like gimmick Make-A-Wish item in like a spiritual magic rock shop, and so he wishes that she would love him more than anyone in the whole world. We see that unfold, and we see like the horrifying implications of that. And I will say, because it's one thing that I've seen people talk about this film, and I really hate the discourse right now, where a lot of it seems to be, oh guys, Bear is the real villain. And on the one hand, it's like, yeah, fucking, you're not like, why are you acting like that's some like great takeaway that like, oh, did you know that he's not in the right the whole time? It's like, yeah, like, I mean, if you watch the movie, I think you're supposed to take that away. Like, I don't think the film's very subtle about that, like, because that's one thing that is kind of crazy to me, is that, like, for some reason, and maybe it's just, like, the fact that there is a big audience of horror fans that just don't have very high standards. Like I like horror. I do, because when it's at its best, like this film, it can be like really meaningful art. But I really do think that there are a lot of horror fans that are just like, yeah, jump scares, yay. And I was like, oh, but man, like they didn't try at all with the story. And it's like, shut up. It's like, oh, okay. Because, like, I don't know, saying Bear is the villain, it's like, no, don't get me wrong. He is definitely in the wrong, and he does a lot of really bad, really fucked up shit throughout the movie. But if you watch and, like, actually pay attention, there's, like, it's up until the restaurant scene that, like, he really is under the impression, like the naive impression of like, oh, well, like, maybe she does just really like me, and then he kind of realizes like, oh, fuck, like that wish that I made, that might have been fucking real. Like, oh, that changes the context of this a lot. Like, and then he chooses to do some stuff after that. It's like, ooh, yeah, that's a really bad thing that you just did. Which, the film points out, and I really appreciate that when it comes to Nikki's character, which she kind of plays two characters. I really appreciate how she is characterized throughout the film, because Wish Nikki, like the one that's possessed by the wish, you can tell from like the very little time that we get with real Nikki beforehand, she clearly is using elements of like actual Nikki's personality and stuff, and like she's a little manipulative in the same way that like actual Nikki is. And it's like, oh, that's kind of neat that, like, it's not necessarily an entirely different person. It is as though you took that person and then just overrided like any other concern or motivation that they might have. And it's really neat that we get Wish Nikki's perspective on actual Nikki, where she's like terrified to sleep because that like essentially lets actual Nikki like take over her brain again. Like, even though like she doesn't necessarily wake up from that, like, she still experiences all of that like trauma. And then of course we get actual Nikki's perspective on like Wish Nikki. It's really neat where they do what WandaVision wasn't really willing to do, where it's like, no, that's not me, like that is an entirely different person. I need you to kill me, like that. I can't do this. And and that's really neat. And I really like that people are just kind of like, they feel like real people throughout the movie, which is one of those things where like, it's why I kind of hate the, oh, Bear was the real villain the whole time discourse, because it's like, no, you're way oversimplifying this. Maybe it can be a little more complex than that, and like it is, and that's a really good thing. I don't think that you should just take away from the movie that like, oh yeah, everything, like, I can just fit it all into black and white. It's like, no, like there's quite a bit of moral gray in the movie, and like that's really neat. All of these people are like very flawed individuals that, some of them do, like Bear especially, like does a lot of fucked up shit. But it's like there are some little things that I would say, because I've seen the film twice now, and I really like the film. there are a couple moments that kind of stand out to me as like, ooh, I think we could have just smoothed that out a bit. Where like I really like the payoff of having Ian just flippantly go, "I wish for $1 billion." Like it all starts to pour out. That's really neat. I don't like that he shows up at Bear's door, going, "Whoa, dude! I just got $1 billion. Like, the wish is real." Because that to me feels like, oh, we didn't catch that in a redraft, did we? Because like that, yeah, Bear was there for that scene. Like he's aware. Like I can accept the idea of Ian being kind of blown away at it. Like it's not a terrible flaw or anything. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, for how good the rest of the film is and for how well like everything fits together, because like continuity I would say is like really good for the most part. In this film, I really appreciate that the Sarah's again, this is spoilers, so just like I don't know why you've been listening if you didn't want to get spoiled, but Sarah's death, I really appreciate that they were like, okay, so they're going to be sitting in the car, and we want to have Nikki break through the car window. Well, Nikki's not a superhuman, so how do we get her to do that? Okay, well, what if we gave her a brick? Okay, that's great. And then she's gonna, like, bash Sarah's head against the steering wheel, right? It's like, well, if she already has a brick, then she could put the brick on the steering wheel, and like that might make it a bit more believable what like ends up happening to Sarah's face. And I was like, oh yeah, like that's actually really neat that like, it's a simple detail, but like a lot of thought actually went into that. And it was like, oh hey, like I really appreciate that as an audience member, that like you actually thought about like, okay, because it's like, yeah, a lesser filmmaker probably would have just been like, nah, fuck it, like it's magic bullshit, she can just break the window and fucking rip Sarah's throat out or something, like, and it's like, no, like we actually practically use the environment in the way that like you could use the environment. It's like that's really neat. So yeah, the Ian Bear thing is a little like I wish that was a little smoothed over. I do like a lot of the like in-camera effects and stuff where the scenes where Nikki is talking to him and you can basically only see a silhouette except for the it wouldn't be red eye, but it's like a similar camera trick where you can just see the light glinting off of her eyes, and like that's for the most part the only part of her face that you can really see. It's like that's really cool. I like near the end of the film when they're like having her talk to him and it's her silhouette. It's really quick. So like I didn't notice it on a first time, but the second time through I noticed that like it's kind of neat. They have her standing backwards to like do that whole like monologue, and then you can tell by the way that she turns that like, oh yeah, she was standing backwards. I think in the film she is supposed to be facing towards Bear, but it's just how they accomplish that, because it's like, well, like she's wearing black and she has black hair and we're only really seeing her from like the shoulders up, so we can just have her turn around, and for the most part, like unless we're picking up really detailed shadows, it'll look like a silhouette. And I was like, yeah, that's really neat. I really like that. I really like the phone call, because it has a lot of really good Curry Barker humor in it, but then the way the phone call ends is like really kind of horrifying. And it's another element of like reaffirming to Bear that like, no, this shit has to be real. Well, I say that, but in another way, I guess he could have taken it as like, oh, well, like, how would the guy on the phone know Nikki's name? So, like, I must have made that up. Um, but, like, you know, it's really, really neat. And I would say that the phone call is like a microcosm of a lot of what this film does, where I think throughout a lot of the film, it kind of leads you on in a bit of a way of being like, oh, hey, like, yeah, it's horror, but like, we're not gonna go too far with it, you know? Like, it's like we're chill right now, and then just drops the other shoe and it's like, no, like, we're going all the way. Like, you know, we are fully exploring these concepts no matter how dark they are. Um and like, I really appreciate at the end that I appreciate that they don't have to tell us what wish Nikki's wish would have been, because it's like, yeah, like, there's only one thing that's motivating her. Obviously, we know. Um, and like, I really appreciate, because she does it like at the end of the movie, but also like throughout, that you can tell um, she kind of just goes through a list of excuses, like trying them almost like different keys to try and see what works. And especially at the end, it's really interesting where she's like, oh, maybe we should break up. And it's like, oh, that's interesting, because like, we know, and like Bear probably knows, like, he might be a little too stressed to really be thinking about it all that much, but like, we know that that's a lie, that like, that's not something she's ever really going to be okay with. And so it's kind of interesting to think about that, like, oh yeah, she's really just trying to get him out of that bathroom. And it almost makes you wonder, like, oh, does she realize what he's going to do? You know, is that something that she thinks he's capable of? And I really appreciate that, had she not made her wish, he wouldn't have gone through with it. That like, we're shown that like, he straight up, like, you know, he wants to commit to it, but also he can't. And I really appreciate that this film doesn't fall in line with a bunch of modern horror where it's like, oh yeah, you can just fucking stop your heart, and like, that counts as dying. Like, you know, everyone can just come back from death after like a couple seconds. And it's like, no, like, no, like, that's not how that works. Like, you know, and so it's really neat that like, the death at the end of this film is really impactful, because it's like, no, that is a choice. Like, if he's doing this, he's gonna like do it forever. And it makes it so that, you know, it's again, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, Bear's the villain, like, you know, he couldn't go through with it. And it's like, well, again, I think that's an oversimplification, because I do, like, at least my interpretation is that like, I think he wants to do it, but like, that's kind of one of the hardest things that you can really bring yourself to do. Like, your entire evolution has been designed around keeping you alive, so voluntarily like choosing to die, like choosing to off yourself like that, yeah, like, that's pretty hard. Like, you know, that's not a real easy thing. You know, like, there's a reason why we categorize like suicidal people as mentally ill, like, because that's not really how your brain's supposed to work. um and so it's like, yeah, I don't know, I think the film is a lot more complicated than people are giving it credit for. Though I will say, I'm really glad that even those people are crediting it as a good movie, because it really is. It's a really solid movie. Um, and yeah, go see it if you haven't. Go see it again if you have. I gotta say that I really enjoyed my second watch through. This film, it's something that we miss in a lot of modern movies where, like, yes, it is set up and payoff, but there's a lot of lines that, like, once you know the full story and you know where it's going, they hit a bit differently. And it's like, oh man, that's really neat that, like, the effort was put in for that. You know, that it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you did think about, like, okay, someone watches this again, what's in it for them? And it's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, I really appreciate that. I appreciate the level of, like, poetry in the writing, not just the actual poem monologue, which, like, that is pretty good, but you know, just the simple lines overall. um but so yeah, I would highly recommend Obsession, and I'm looking forward to what Curry Parker does next. Thank you for watching, and bye bye.